There's a bit in Jurassic Park where they tell you that the T-Rex can't see you unless you move. Now, it's wrong about dinosaurs, but it's right about your ear. In my work as an ear training teacher, I see a lot of students who crush their melodic interval work, but then get really stuck with harmonic intervals. And if you're one of those people, fear not. There are real reasons why harmonic intervals are harder to hear than melodic ones. And over 300 years of knowledge has been at the service of creating music that honors our natural perception and avoids making music that is hard to hear. In this video, we're going to bridge the gap between listening melodically and listening harmonically and get you on a path to hearing harmonies more easily. I'm Hans at tuneindigo.com. Let's begin. Just like the T-Rex is supposed to be in Jurassic Park, we listen for motion. And the hard thing about harmonic intervals, especially harmonic interval drills, is that they kind of act like there's no motion. This whole thing comes down to how to hear motion when there actually isn't motion. In other words, how to hear a vertical thing, things that are happening at the same time when we're wired to hear things that are in motion. We're going to define what harmonic intervals are. We're going to talk about why they're difficult. Like the T-Rex, we're going to get into hunting strategies to help you hear them better. We're going to do a little practice, and then going to give you some tips on how to keep improving. Before we level up your ability to hear harmonic intervals better, let's at least just talk about what they are. Harmonic intervals are where you have two notes happening at the same time. So like this, like this, like this, like this, and like this. Those are all harmonic intervals, two notes at a time. You build chords by combining notes, and as a result, you have different intervals happening, like this. Here I have an interval from here to here, an interval from here to here, and an interval from here to there. Happening all together, they make a chord. So intervals are the building blocks of chords. So when we're dealing with intervals, we're generally just talking about two notes. And we often only hear consciously the top note. So check this out. Here's an interval. You might untangle both of those notes and hear this note and this note, but it's also very likely that you only hear the top note by itself with a flavor imparted on it by the lower note or the other note. So here's this note within this dyad, these two notes making an interval. Here's the same top note with a different bottom note. Again, same top note, different bottom note. And here's one more. And often ear training apps will ask you to do static interval drills to attempt to culture and awareness of that flavor, right? And it involves untangling two notes that you hear at the same time. Why are they so difficult? Well, there are some real brain science reasons. One of the things that I find really interesting, and I'm reading about it in a book by David Huron called Voice Leading, is this idea of harmonic fusion, where we tend to perceive two sounds as one sound. It's just how the brain works. The other thing is, if you're doing interval drills, static harmonic interval drills kind of deny the nature of music, which wants to move. We want to hear music flowing through time, and we tend to hear melodically. So guess what? This is great news, because if you've been frustrated with hearing harmonic intervals, it just means you're human. The difficulty isn't your deficiency. It's actually a property of sound that composers have been working around for 300 years. Composers have developed the art of counterpoint to resolve this very issue. The idea is if In Western music, in Western polyphonic music, which is music based on multiple sounds happening at the same time, multiple melodies, the goal of that style of music, which is kind of baked into modern music in a way, the goal of that music is to make it so that your brain untangles different melody streams. And so this whole science of counterpoint and voice leading is focused on making it so that each one of those streams is perceived separately for you. So my recommendation, as much as possible, I mean, drills are great, but as much as possible, you want to practice with real music, especially music that you love. So when you're practicing listening for intervals, here are some strategies that are going to help you bridge the gap between your natural inclination to listen melodically and your goal of hearing harmony. You're going to hunt for motion. When you hear an interval, hunt for motion, especially in real music. Okay? Hunt for those separate streams of sound, just like the T-Rex is seeking something that's moving. Very importantly, honor the tone that calls to you. You're going to hear something more than the other thing. Go with what your natural inclination is. And generally, if you've got that skill built up, if you've got the awareness, notice what scale degree it is. Hum the sound you hear. That gives you feedback and it guides your ear. And then gently seek that other tone and sing back and forth between them. I call that melodicizing, where you hear two notes, da, you isolate them, and then you create a melody out of them, da, and then you might know what the interval is. Well, that's all very well and good, but what if you really just don't hear the second note, which I see all the time? You hear the top note, but you don't actually feel like you hear the other note. Here's a little detour that you can take. Again, you're going to honor which tone calls to you and gently know its scale degree. You're going to sing that note, but then you're going to assert or hypothesize what you think the other note is. So let's say you hear these two tones, da, and you don't hear the other note. Da. You can think to yourself, okay, I'm going to move with my voice. I'm going to hunt with my voice. Da. You might find that when you do that and your voice aligns with the note you're seeking, the other note, it gives you a little awareness bloom. And then you can melodicize. Once you are able to produce both with your voice, da, da, it makes it a lot easier to identify what the interval is that you're hearing. Before we get into this little interval practice, let me just underline one important thing. When you're improvising, when you're composing, when you're jamming, you're not really thinking intervals. You're thinking about what notes in the scale you're going to play. So with holistic ear training, our focus is always on finding the notes to play within a scale more than the intervals. I know that you're facing interval drills where you have to identify the name of an interval, perfect fourth, major third, and so on. But in practical terms, what you're really wanting to know is what are the notes to play. These exercises are made up of little two-part examples where you're going to hear a top part and a bottom part. Hearing two-part music is much more musical than hearing just static interval drills. We want to key into the sound of a key, find the notes, and then we'll identify what the intervals are based on how that happens. We'll identify what the intervals are once we've accumulated those sounds. Over time, they live hand in hand. Okay, let's jump into that first example. Okay, let's put this into practice. I've got 10 little examples. Let's go one after another, and I'll guide you through hearing these harmonic intervals. Let's step through these strategies, which each one of these. Now, like everything that you want to automate, it's really, really helpful to just step deliberately through each step. I see this again and again where students get confused and I'm like, well, did you do step 2? And they're like, no. I'm like, well, do step 2. It's going to be easier. We're going to be focusing on listening for the interval at the end of each little segment. You'll hear what I mean in a second. They're all in the same key, so let's get your ear oriented to the key. So there's Do. So we've got Do right there. Let's jump into the first example. I'll play it, step through each one of these items. I'm not going to coach you. I've got the list here for you to see. That way you can go at your own pace. But follow the steps. Okay, here we go. Here's the first one. All right, now here's our answer. You can see I've got it written in notation and in solfege shorthand. And at the bottom, I'm giving you a potential melodicization of this to go. You can sing it or think of it like this. Do, sol, fa. If you are asserting what that bottom note is, this will come in handy starting in number 3. Do, so, do, fa. And you've got the perfect 4th. Again, the name of the interval is an afterthought compared to what are the notes to play. Here's number 2. Again, you're going to hunt for motion, honor which tone jumps out at you, notice its scale degree if that's easy for you. Use your voice, sing or hum that tone. Okay, here's number 2. Again. Last time. Here it is. Fa, la, ti. We have the diminished 5th between Ti and Fa, or the tritone. It's the only tritone that exists in the major scale. And you might, if you are asserting what notes to play, you might be going Fa, la, ti, or you might even be going Fa, la, fa, ti. In these first 2 examples, that melodicization isn't as useful as it is in the next batch. So here's number 3. Do you hear the motion? Can you sing both tones? Here's your answer. We've got mi, re, along with so, to make that perfect 5th between so and re. If you hear the top one very present, me, 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 me. Over time, this will just jump in as mi, so, re, melodicized. Number 4. Here it is. Last time. Here's what we have. We have so and ti, do. If you want to melodicize them, you can think, if the top one jumps out at you, you might find yourself going so, ti, do, so. Let's go to the next one, number 5. Here's your answer. Ti, do, do, and re, do. Notice the octave is a really funny animal. Here's number 6. Again. Last time. And here's your answer. What we're hearing is do, re, and so, fa. You can sing in any octave, and it really doesn't matter, because if you end up with a major 6th or its inverse, a minor 3rd, you end up playing the same notes. So that's why I was talking about the intervals aren't as important. Like identifying major 3rd, minor 6th is not as important as knowing which notes in the scale to play, because you arrive at the right answer. And what we're shooting for doing is getting you playing in groups, creating your own music, and jamming and having a fun, relaxed time. And that's where we bring ear training together with practice holistically. Here's number 7. Again. Last time. And here's your answer. We've got do, re, and so, ti. If you want to melodicize that, you might be grabbing onto the top note. So, do, re, ti, re, ti. Number 8. Here we go. Second time. Last time. And here's your answer. We're going la, sol, and re, ti. And you can melodicize that by going re, ti, sol. Here's number 9. second time. Last time. Here's your answer. We've got T to La, and the lower voice, Re, Do. Melodicizing, giving motion where there wasn't any. T, Re, Do, La. Last one, if you're still with us. Last time. Here's your answer. La, So on the top and Re, Do on the bottom. Melodicized to bring that motion into focus, or to bring that lack of motion into focus. La, Re, Do, So. For that perfect fifth. Okay, that's it. That's plenty for now. I know I stepped through these really, really slowly because the thing that's going to get you to where you want to get to, where you can hear intervals quickly, is having this process that steps you through each thing. Over time, this just becomes automatic. You hear the sound of the tones in the scale. You untangle the simultaneities as though they were moving, and you identify the interval with its name, perfect fourth, major third, etc. And again, you're gentle with yourself so that you aren't getting distracted. You aren't putting negative self-talk into your perception, which I see all the time, right? And I do it all the time. Our self-talk, our inner monologue can really get in the way of hearing what we're hearing, perceiving, purely perceiving. Okay, so how did that go? Which ones were more difficult than others? Go ahead and comment. I'm really interested in that. And if you look at if you see the description for the video, I outline what makes each example different and how they progressively get more difficult. Okay, here's how to keep improving. You can keep improving on your own. And the more you use real music, the better. So consider this. A core skill is hearing using your voice. And one way to improve that in any kind of music you listen is just to actively listen by humming or singing along while you listen to music. Okay, just make a gentle effort to stay on the same note, the note that you start on, and allow your voice to move to nearby notes as the music changes. That's a core skill. Finding your way through a field of harmony using your voice as an anchor. And this is a skill that starts very easy, but it becomes the basis for very advanced harmonic listening. Learning the sound of each note in the scale, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, each has a quality. And singing songs in solfege is a great way. You can't do it too much. And the more you do it, the more you notice, like, oh my gosh, like so sounds like a thing. Fa sounds like a thing. Do it as much as you can, and I've got resources to help you. There's a little free email course, 5 emails that one day at a time introduce you to singing songs in solfege, which is, again, a core skill. And I've got a free weekly news lesson. It's like a newsletter, but it's a lesson, and it brings together what you might have seen in a video like this one, along with some other things that I'm producing for you. Brings them all together in one lesson. So check that out too. And mostly, thanks a lot for listening.